Okay, in the last video I was talking about studying, and I talked about making sure you have a summary, make sure you know the content, the skills. That's step one. That's the surface level knowledge. That's the knowledge that everyone should have. Step two was looking for connections, trying to get that knowledge deeper. You can look for connections within the topic, you can look for connections between topics. We've done lots of percentages work, that goes between topics. Maybe the work we've done in algebra can help us sometimes as well. So we're going to look for those sorts of connections. That will be a key to improving your mathematics. We talked about working out the importance of communication, the importance of not just for marks in the exam, but the importance of a life skill and the importance of being able to get good feedback. Now, one of the problems we've faced this year in class, a number of us have, is reading worded questions. Reading worded questions and going from the worded question to maths. So what I'm going to advise here, I'm going to advise that we read in chunks. I want to chunk that reading up. And what we're looking for is we're looking for the content, and then we're looking for the connections. So the content and the connections by reading in chunks. So we'll just have a look at these parts C from our recent mastery tests and see what sort of questions we might face with. So this one, Hannah was paid $4,100 per fortnight for the first 6 months of last financial year. Now already I'm chunking it. I'm saying she was paid $4,100 per fortnight. There's my chunk. That's got a bit of information that may be pertinent to the question. First 6 months of the last financial year. There's another part that has a connection back to this. This happens for 6 months. There's a connection there. She then received a 4% pay rise. Then received a 4% pay rise. So a different chunk. You see I'm underlining, I'm trying to draw out that information that's important. I'm not jumping to conclusions. I'm not just looking at the numbers and saying let's throw them all in together. I'm trying to make sense of the question. Calculate her gross income for the year and hence her tax payable. So two things it's asking me to do. Gross income, tax payable. I'll start with this one. That's out of my mind. Gross income. So I go back to the chunks I've read. $4,100 per fortnight for 6 months. It's going to be relevant. Received a 4% pay rise. Well, there's 6 months left in the year, so 4% more in the second half. So 4,100 fortnights in a year. Connection, 26 fortnights in the year. 6 months, half a year. Half of 26 equals 13. So I want to take my 4,100 and I'm going to receive that for 13 months. So I'm going to calculate that out. I'm going to get a total of 53,300, but that's just for 6 months. She then received a 4% pay rise. So that means a 4% pay rise means an increase by 4%. And of course, my preferred method when you're increasing by 4% is to say this is 100%. I now want to find 104% of 53,300. And that way I've got it done in one step. And I'll work that out on my calculator and get $55,432 for the next 6 months. And that way the gross income will be the addition of those two. Turning out to be $108,732. I think what's important here is I took my time, I read it carefully, I made the connections, I extracted the information that was relevant. I then said, okay, I've got to do two things, just do one thing at a time. It's not quite finished, of course. The second part is to calculate her tax payable. So for her tax payable, that should trigger this idea. I'm going to need to work out, need to use the tax table. Now, we say this is on the taxable income. The information given doesn't tell us anything about deductions. So we're going to have to use this figure down here, 108,732. We know nothing about deductions. that figure there. We can see that it fits in once again into this bracket. So I'm going to come over here and do this. So I've got 108,732, and I want to take away, and I want to work it out. I'm going to read it straight from here. It says I've got to pay $17,547 in tax, plus I want to pay 37 cents for each dollar of this 108,732 that's above $80,000. So that's 108,732. So exactly what it says there. Plug it into your calculator. Answer in one step is $28,177.84. So this is the tax. So the tax on that.